My guy Alex Bell with another conspiracy. This one is called the False King. This is the 5th conspiracy theory. The thing about him is like every conspiracy theory just gets better and better. So like I don't really know what to expect for this one. I know it's gonna be good. So yeah, let's get right into it, man.
So the continuity with King Neptune is a bit of a mess. There are 2 different King Neptunes. There's a King Poseidon. There's 3 different royal palaces. 2 of them are called the City of Atlantis, but there's also a 3rd unrelated City of Atlantis. It's confusing to say the least. This is the Neptune Theory.
Part 1, the movie Neptune.
King Neptune is the ruler of the 7 seas and the Roman god of the ocean. If you watch my evolution theory, you know there's also a good chance he's the reason why fish in Bikini Bottom are so evolved and able to talk. He lives in the city of Atlantis with his wife Queen Amphitrite and his son Triton. But in the first SpongeBob movie, he's replaced by a completely different King Neptune who has a completely different daughter named Mindy. These guys don't look or sound at all the same, so how can they both exist in this universe? Well, there's already an interesting theory out there about this. It's widely believed that the SpongeBob movie takes place in the future after the events of the show. The creator of SpongeBob, Steven Hillenburg, said he wanted to end the series with the movie, and it being canonically at the end of the SpongeBob timeline would explain why we never see the Krusty Krab 2, or any of the other characters from the movie in the later SpongeBob episodes. And some people believe that the reason why movie Neptune is so different is because he's actually Neptune's son, Triton, all grown up.
That's what I thought. I thought that was Neptune's son. But he's about to prove me wrong, I guess?
But I don't buy it. Other than Triton looking nothing like movie Neptune, I've never actually believed that the SpongeBob movie takes place in the future. Despite there being many people who commented about it on my Mrs. Puff theory as if it was a proven fact, there's never actually been any official confirmation of it. Steven Hillenburg only said that he wanted to stop making SpongeBob after the movie. Briefly see Neptune's daughter Mindy show up later in the show in SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout. There's no way she'd be there unless the show took place after the events of the movie. I think what's actually going on here with Neptune is something much more interesting, and it ties directly in with the television theory. If you haven't seen that video, it basically proves that the entire show, SpongeBob SquarePants, is actually a nature documentary being filmed by scuba divers, and many of the elements we see throughout the series are secretly set up by the showrunners to make sure that the show is more entertaining and profitable. And this applies to the SpongeBob movie as well. There's promotional art and even a commercial that acknowledges the fact that it's just a movie being filmed. I think the real reason why Neptune looks so different in the movie is because the filmmakers couldn't get the real King Neptune, the literal god of the sea, to show up for a movie. So they hired an actor to pretend to be the king. And there is actually a ton of evidence in the show to support this. King Neptune is supposed to live in the great city of Atlantis, but in the movie he just lives in some random sandcastle, almost like they just built a discount version for the movie. But the real evidence comes from Season 10, Episode 18, Lost and Found, where SpongeBob goes beneath the Krusty Krab to look for something in the Lost and Found. As he searches through the surprisingly massive collection of items, on one of the shelves we see something mind-blowing. The crown worn by King Neptune in the SpongeBob movie.
Yo, there's always some random shit that he be spotting out on the shelf.
The crown worn by King Neptune in the SpongeBob movie.
Crown.
The entire plot of the movie hinges on the fact that Neptune thinks Mr. Krabs stole his crown. Why would Mr. Krabs have this now? Because this isn't just the Krusty Krabs Lost and Found. It's also where they store the props used by the SpongeBob SquarePants filmmakers to create the SpongeBob movie. If you remember from my television theory, Mr. Krabs is secretly working for the showrunners to spy on all the main characters. And his secret surveillance room was hidden beneath the Krusty Krab, just like this Lost and Found. So it makes perfect sense for the showrunners to hide their props down here. And if you still don't believe me, we also see SpongeBob's guitar, the Goofy Goober peanut hats, and the magical bag of wind.
Wait, what?
See SpongeBob's guitar, the Goofy Goober peanut hats, and the magical bag of wind. All items from the movie that would make no sense being down here unless this was the showrunner's prop storage, and the movie King Neptune was just an actor. Well, that's one Neptune down. Now for the real mystery, King Poseidon. King Poseidon, the Greek god of the ocean. He actually does live in the city of Atlantis, except instead of the ancient royal architecture, it's a giant casino designed to make money. It'd be easy to say that these are just 2 separate kings that rule different areas of the sea, but they both claim to be the ruler of the 7 seas. So how can 2 different characters both be the king of the same 7 seas? The answer to that question actually has to do with a place called Camp Coral. Throughout the 3rd SpongeBob movie, we keep cutting back to flashbacks of a younger SpongeBob SpongeBob and all the other characters when they all went to summer camp together. This was all to set up a spin-off show called Camp Coral that followed these younger characters.
It really had
now,
a spin-off show for that?
I just wrote the show off as
SpongeBob
following the trend of making all their characters younger to appeal to a younger demographic. It's been done before, and it's never very good. They also
they did that for Total Drama Island?
Appeal to a younger demographic.
No way, I was just watching that the other day.
Before, and it's never...
What? I didn't even know that, bro.
They also completely contradict the continuity of the main show by having characters like Sandy and SpongeBob meet as kids when we know they actually met as adults in the main show. Look, I am having a hard enough time figuring out this show's continuity on its own. I do not need another show full of contradictions to make it even harder. But the creators actually did something very clever to make the continuity work. The 7th episode of Camp Coral ends with one of the biggest plot twists I've ever seen from this show. So in this episode, SpongeBob actually discovers the Krabby Patty secret formula way before it was supposed to be created by Mr. Krabs. But at the end of the episode, it gets accidentally destroyed by Sandy, and then we get this mind-blowing scene.
This is Little Cheeks calling Big Cheeks. Come in, Big Cheeks. Over. Affirmative, Little Cheeks. This is Big Cheeks receiving you from the future.
What?
How are things going in the past? Your plan worked perfectly. The formula burned out before Mr. Plankton could nab it. Now it can be safely rediscovered in the future. I knew sending you to Camp Coral was the right thing to do. Over and out. Bye, future me. Ha. Mission accomplished, timeline preserved. Now everything can continue just the way it's always been.
So Sandy used time travel to send her past self to Camp Coral so that she could make sure the Krabby Patty formula didn't get discovered before it was supposed to. They actually figured out a way to make this messed up continuity make sense. Don't you dare tell me this show doesn't care about its continuity. What does any of this have to do with King Poseidon? Well, this proves that Camp Coral and the movie that sets it up are in an alternate timeline. The events that have taken place in the show are not the same events in this movie. The continuity errors like Sandy and SpongeBob meeting, or Poseidon being the king of the sea instead of Neptune, can be explained by this shift in the timeline. So there you go. King Poseidon and King Neptune are from completely separate timelines. That's why we never see any reference to King Poseidon in the show. And that is the Neptune theory. Huh. I mean, that wasn't so hard. I guess I'm done here.
No, you're not.
Neptune stirred up quite a gale tonight. He must be mad about something.
That's silly. Everyone knows Poseidon is ruler of the undersea. Everyone knows Poseidon is ruler of the undersea.
Why can't anything ever be easy?
The true god of the sea.
This is the clip that really made me decide to make this theory. The beginning of Season 5, Episode 19, Spongehenge, shows two fish arguing over whether Neptune or Poseidon is the real ruler of the sea. It's like the creators are directly telling us that both of these characters somehow exist in the same timeline.
So it is the same timeline.
And it's our job to figure out how the puzzle pieces fit together. So, let's take a look. There is one very important difference between them. Poseidon doesn't have powers. We've seen many times that King Neptune has magical abilities that he can use at any time, even without his trident.
I remember this
but
shit.
In the entire
he shrunk his own son. Dude is a demon.
Time, even without his trident.
I remember
this. But in the entire third SpongeBob movie, we never see Poseidon
got
use
no
any
powers
or magical abilities,
like,
except for lighting up his trident.
See.
But all he has to do for that is just flip a switch. And we know from the episode Trident Trouble that you don't even need to be a god to use the trident. And at the end of the third movie, we find out Poseidon is actually in terrible shape. If you remember at the end of the
fuck was that?
In the third movie, we find out Poseidon is actually in terrible...
What the fuck? Yo!
If you remember at the end of the episode Neptune's Spatula, Neptune briefly turned SpongeBob into a god. And we can see that having god powers gives you a perfect body. So why is Poseidon in such terrible shape? Because he doesn't actually have powers.
God, bro.
Only Neptune does. Even Neptune's wife, Queen Amphitrite, has to use technology to zap someone, unlike Neptune, who only has to use his finger in the exact same episode. He is clearly the only one with powers, but why? To answer this question, we first have to understand the origins of King Neptune. So I started looking to see if there were any that could help us, and lo and behold, there is a SpongeBob short called The Story of King Neptune.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that could be helpful. This short is about SpongeBob telling Patrick the origins of King Neptune, but it's not entirely clear whether it's true.
The story of King Neptune. When King Neptune was a little Neptune, his mother set him adrift in a river. As he floated along, a radioactive meteor fell to Earth. an alien appeared and anointed the infant with super Neptune fluid.
Is that
Neptune
really the
fluid.
origin of King Neptune?
Sure.
So King Neptune was abandoned as a baby and then given his powers by aliens. But SpongeBob is holding an upside-down comic book, so it feels a lot like something he just made up. And SpongeBob is not the most reliable narrator. Unless there's something in the story that we can definitively prove, I don't think we can use it for a theory. Like, do you really expect me to believe that Neptune got his powers from aliens?
Yeah.
I mean, we've never even seen aliens in the show before.
Yeah, that is
Except
pretty random.
We have.
Oh.
And they just so happen to also live in a city called Atlantis.
Yeah, who is
Season
that?
5, Episode 12, Atlantis SquarePantis.
Oh,
we see
yeah.
another completely
Wait,
different
now I
Atlantis, the
remember.
lost city of Atlantis.
Low-key, now I remember that. Because I think I remember the Atlantis episode I saw the aliens, and that person looks very familiar.
A city that's home to a race of aliens.
Yeah, I remember this. When they visited Atlantis, yes, I remember
The
now.
Atlantean aliens traveled billions of light
I
years to come
remember.
to this planet and build their city.
For reasons unknown, this great city disappeared one day, but no ruins were ever found. All the inventions you take for granted were given to us by the Atlanteans.
They were a peaceful race of aliens
Oh, wow.
who shared their technology, but then mysteriously disappeared for some reason. And take a guess what we find when we look inside of that city. A massive sculpture of King Neptune. That story about aliens giving Neptune his
What?
powers doesn't sound so far-fetched now, does it? And that's not all we find.
Neptune's Ascension, the only
think I
surviving
remember
painting
this.
from the great lost city of Atlantis.
A painting created by the Atlanteans called Neptune's Ascension, aka Neptune ascending to his god status by being given powers by the Atlantean aliens. The story is definitely referencing this. There are too many connections for this to be a coincidence. So even though it's being told by SpongeBob, and details like the aliens' appearance are wrong, the story itself is probably based on truth. And there's also a lot of evidence to support the idea that Neptune was abandoned as a baby. In Clash of Triton, Neptune is watching a soap opera in his bedroom and gets upset when his wife turns it off.
Oh, Neptune.
Simp.
Surely this isn't the behavior
Neptune is
befitting a
simp.
king, doing nothing but watching daytime television.
Wait! Rochelle was just about to meet her biological parents.
In the soap opera, Rochelle was just about to meet her biological parents. Maybe the real reason why Neptune's so invested in the soap opera is because he's
he
never
never
met his
parents.
biological parents either. There's
Makes
even
sense.
tissues on the table next to him as
He
if
was
he's
crying.
been crying. And the idea that Neptune was abandoned
Yo.
as a baby works perfectly with the mythology in the show. Neptune is the Roman god of the sea, but he is the only reference to Roman mythology in the show. Everything else we see is from Greek mythology. In the episode Trident Trouble, we see a Greek chorus.
Behold, we are the Greek chorus. We narrate this epic
I was about to say, how do you know that's a
Neptune once
Greek
mentioned
chorus?
Zeus, the Greek god
literally
of
said
thunder.
So I say, look, Zeus, either you come up with more money, or Neptune walks.
He also mentions Apollo, the Greek god of the sun.
Now behold, my beloved home of Atlantis, a prize worthy of Apollo.
Even in the city of Atlantis where Neptune lives, there's a building named the Poseidon, clearly named after
Poseidon.
Poseidon. So Neptune is clearly the outsider here, which is why he was abandoned as a baby. But if the sea is actually ruled by Greek mythology, then Poseidon should be the true heir to the throne. Why is Neptune the king in the show? Because after Neptune was
This is getting very intricate. Damn, this shit caught me off guard.
given his god powers by aliens, he returned to Atlantis and stole the throne from Poseidon. This would explain why there's so much confusion over who the real king is.
Neptune stirred up quite a gale tonight.
Everyone knows Poseidon is ruler of the undersea.
Legally, Poseidon should be the king, but Neptune took it by force. And that's not all he took from Poseidon. Neptune's wife, Queen Amphitrite, is the goddess of the sea. The Greek goddess of the sea, aka the wife of Poseidon. God damn, Neptune stole his wife and his throne. That is cold. And
Yo, Neptune's a demon.
eventually, everyone did recognize Neptune as the rightful king.
That's
the pink fish who
tough.
seemed adamant about Poseidon being the king completely
That's
changes her
super
mind
tough.
one season later in Clash of Triton.
Oh, wait a minute. King Neptune is coming here? Oh, I'm a huge fan of the royal family. I just love everything they do.
And that is the real story of King Neptune. The reason why Poseidon is king in the third movie is probably because in that timeline, Neptune was never given his god powers, so he never stole the throne from Poseidon. Although, seeing as how Poseidon turned Atlantis into a big casino cash grab city, maybe it's a good thing Neptune took over.
The lost city of Atlantic City.
And that is the Neptune
Wow.
theory. That was a tough one, but we are finally done. See you next time, guys.
Are we actually though? There's
Wait,
like 3 minutes
Why
left.
is Poseidon City called the Lost City of Atlantic City?
Word, I was about to
lost
say
city
that
of
low key.
Atlantic
Cause like, I was gonna say something, that didn't really make sense.
City.
I mean, the Atlantic City Park makes sense. That's a reference to the real-life Atlantic City.
Why is it
but
the Lost
why
City?
is it called the Lost City? There is nothing lost
Exactly.
about the city. It seems like everyone's easily able to find it. The only other reference to a lost city of Atlantis is the one with the aliens that gave Neptune his powers. Nope. Nope, I don't care. I'm done with this theory. I don't need to answer every single little question. I am 100%
Nah, Alex Bill, figure it out for
done.
us. The Atlantean aliens.
Fine, okay? One more quick part just to tie up all the loose ends, and then I am done. Alright, here we go. So we know before the Atlantean aliens mysteriously disappeared, they shared their technology with the creatures of the sea. I think the self-proclaimed gods of the sea got their technology, like tridents and their other weapons, from the Atlantean aliens. In fact, the Atlantean guards even use golden
Yo,
tridents
they
as their
look
weapon.
so weird.
That's why the gods named their city Atlantis, to pay tribute to the Atlanteans that gave them their technology. But all of that changed when Poseidon became king of the sea. He betrayed the Atlanteans and used their own weapons against them to conquer their home and turn it into a casino city. That's why Poseidon City is called the Lost City, even though it's not lost. It's referencing the Atlantean city that was conquered by Poseidon. And the reason why the Atlanteans gave god powers to some random abandoned baby in the meantime.
Oh, got it. They gave Neptune the powers to take over Poseidon because he was abusing his powers.
Timeline was so that Neptune could take the throne from Poseidon and prevent him from conquering the alien city. And the reason why the Atlantean city mysteriously disappeared was because they hid it so no one could ever try and conquer them again. And that is the Neptune theory. I am done.
Yo, Alex Bell, you the GOAT, man.
Okay, that's another one
crazy.
done. Thank you so much for watching. I've
Yo,
been your
he
host,
sound
Alex.
exhausted. He's like, okay. He's done 5 of these. I know he has to go through like mad stuff. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this theory. Honestly, Alex Bell, he just keeps outdoing himself. I really enjoyed this one. Everything always ties up so well, and he always gets like, you know, into depth with everything, and he explains it very well. I hope you guys did enjoy this reaction. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Catch you guys later. Peace.
Wow, 4 stingers.